Can you smell it? Can you feel it? Once again, it's race week. We're back, baby. With that, lights out. Welcome into another edition of the F1 Starting Grid. I was going to my spiel, but my God, there's Mike right there with this point sleep. Totally screw things up. I love how this starts.
Sorry, man. Didn't mean to throw off your chi.
That's okay. We'll tell everybody at the end anyway. So that brings us to a perfect point. We're going to break down Belgium over at Spa. I'd tell you, this is the most unique course on the calendar to me. I mean, from what it looks like, if you look from the aerial view, it looks like one of those old guns from Star Trek in the 60s. I mean, it's just a really weird layout, but drivers love it. People love it. Hell, I love it. So, I mean, it's going to be something because all teams had to require a 2-week off break this past month, and now they're going to try and hurry up and do what they can to fine tune, whatever the case may be on these cars, so they could get it up and running, and hopefully Red Bull or Mercedes could bring home the championship, one of those two. And we were talking off air, but Mike, to your previous thing of if it's going to rain this weekend over there in Belgium, 60% chance of rain on Saturday and 60% chance of rain on Sunday.
What's the percent for Saturday?
Both of them are at 60.
60, okay.
So there's a good chance, we could have a repeat of what happened in Hungary.
Another Mercedes slideshow.
Well, that actually brings up to the first bullet point I have is if that's the case, can Alpine repeat their success? How about it, Mike?
Well, like we said at the beginning of the year, in order for anybody but Mercedes and Red Bull to have the top some of the top spots, there's going to have to be a wreck. And that's what happened in the last race. We had a massive wreck, took out most of the field, took out Verstappen, and then, through no fault of his own, they pull out a seldom used rule and knock Vettel out of second, elevating Hamilton to third. And I don't even want to get started on the politics of everything, but he did come from 14 down to get back to third. So, and then of course we all remember the absolute awesome teamwork in the Alpine team to make sure Ocon got that win. So it's going to take another wreck, or it's going to be Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas in the top three, or Sainz, or maybe even Perez. But it's going to be one of those three. If Hamilton and Verstappen have a clean race and their cars are running good, they're going to be battling down to the end. It's going to come down to pit, who's going to pit first and the tires and everything else.
Well, Chaz, what are you looking forward for this weekend other than just a good race?
I'm definitely looking forward to just see how everybody comes back from the break. Like, just see what kind of form people are in. I mean, you mentioned repeating the success or Alpine repeating their success, and I mean that's the likelihood of that is slim to none. I mean, there's a difference between making $1 million and winning $1 million. Just because you have it doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden brilliant. So I think they'll fall back right into place. But I am looking forward to Mercedes getting back into form.
Yeah. Or Red Bull?
No, I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, with that, let's go into our predictions for over there in Spa. So, Chaz, let's start with you. Who you have on the podium?
So I got Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas. 1, 2, 3.
And what's about your extra prediction? The wild card.
Let's actually just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put Norris at 4. I would love that so much.
Well, honestly, my picks are not too far off from that. I have actually Max coming in first, then Lewis. I have Norris coming in third. I think he come slide in there. You know, every now and again he slides in that third spot. I think this is the race for it. And my wild card prediction: both Ferraris will finish in points. So we'll see about that. How about you, Mike?
Were you looking at my notes?
Oh, damn it! Well, I have to copy the leader. I have to.
I guess I should be honored. I guess I should be honored that somebody would have the same exact picks as me, being I am the points leader.
I know, but guys, both Ferraris finishing in points is a little bit of a safe.
No, I didn't. No, I'm not the Ferrari thing. No, but I got Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris. I know.
Okay, that's an interesting 1, 2, 3. That's an interesting podium.
And let me guess, George Russell will finish at points?
No, because he's already done it. So I got to move on to something else.
Okay.
I want. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to be bold because I am in the lead and I am awesome. So I can afford to make these predictions with confidence. And gravitas goes with it. But my prediction is that Mazepin will finish the race. I know it's a stretch. It's bold and it's brave. But I believe the young man is due to actually get his car around the track 71 times. Call me crazy.
Watch him not finish.
Well, he hasn't in the last 3 races, so, you know. Or last 2 races. Last 2 races, he hasn't. I know. That's what it takes.
Well.
Why didn't you put Mazepin finishing in the points?
Because that's not going to happen this year.
Now there's a bold bet.
I tell you what, I will tell you this: if Verstappen drove in reverse, he would still lap Mazepin.
He would lap.
That I would love to see.
That would be awesome.
I would love to see that. I will pay good money for that, man.
But all he has to do is finish.
Who do you think would win in a like running race?
Like actually physically running?
Like physically running. Like who would be on the podium?
Out of all of them?
Who?
Out of all of them, or just Mazepin and Verstappen?
Oh, no, all the drivers.
I would pick Ocon because he's the tallest. He has the most long legs.
Okay. Ocon, that's a good insight. I just don't see him as being like very athletic necessarily. Like he's kind of got him and Sainz is kind of like, you know, like they're Spanish. They kind of like, you know, they're from Spain. They kind of like take it easy. I don't know. I feel like Norris is probably kind of athletic. I wouldn't put Verstappen up there. I don't know. None of those guys really seem fast. I mean, Bottas doesn't seem fast either. I mean, none of them seem like they'd be fast on their feet.
I would say Ricardo only because he's also a soccer player.
Actually, that's not a bad. He does seem like he could probably move. Yeah.
And he does like extreme sports and all that crap.
Well, a couple of them are soccer players too, like Charles Leclerc. He's a soccer player as well.
Yeah, he'd be a good. But I think Ricardo's taller. Ricardo's taller.
True.
I mean, the only one that wouldn't be a soccer player is if there was an American driver. Everyone plays soccer. The American
All right.
driver would.
Or Kimi Räikkönen could like take shortcuts and use his wily skills.
Run across the field.
Like throw it on tax or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can see that too.
He is by far my favorite, becoming my favorite driver. If you've ever got to YouTube and watched his interviews, gold.
Love him.
He's hilarious. But it was the best when he finished the race in Monaco and just hops on his boat, takes his shirt off, and finishes watching the rest of the race while drinking.
Yeah. I am out.
I mean, he's living the life that we all would if we were drivers, right? Like, he's actually doing it.
I can't remember what race it was. One of the reporters was trying to, I guess, stir something up. He says, "Doesn't it bother you that you're not even in contention?" He goes, "Don't you understand? I'm just doing this because I'm having fun. I get to drive a really fast car and I get paid lots of money. I mean, who cares? I've been doing it for 23 years. I mean, what are you doing?"
Right. And you're talking about it to me.
Yeah, exactly. You're interviewing me. I've got the ride. It's awesome.
Well, let's move on to this couple Williams stories right here. The first one, their team principal said their race is not over. Being in 8th place is not safe from Haas and Alfa Romeo. And he's quoted by saying, 10 points is not massive. It's not over. This kind of race can come again, and there will be a chance for Haas and Alfa Romeo to do a result like this. So we cannot step back and not be focused on it anymore. And the reason why they have 10 points and move up to 8th place is because we were just talking about in Hungary, the big massive crash in the very beginning allowed Williams, both Latifi and Russell, to get into those points points as well. So, Mike, to you as a Williams guy, do you see something extra special from Williams coming in the second half of the season?
Well, it concerns me that the only two teams that they're concerned about are comparing themselves with are the two other teams that are straight garbage. It would make more sense to me if he's like, yeah, we really need to catch up to McLaren, or we'd like to make some strides against Alpine. But no, they got to we're really worried about Alfa Romeo and Haas. Well, first of all, Haas isn't even worried about Haas. So I don't even know why they're in the conversation. Alfa Romeo, I don't know what's going on with that team, but we're talking about two train wrecks of a team, and my boys in Williams are like, yeah, we're really gonna buck up and what? That's not the direction you want to go. You don't want to be worried about teams that are as bad as you.
Right.
I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, the thought process there. I don't get it. I hope something changes because they need a new culture. I think.
If anybody could probably catch him, will be probably Alfa Romeo. If any of those three or any of those two teams, but
if you're battling to be the worst, I mean, I guess that would be a good thing. But it boggles my mind that you're comparing and battling it out with teams that are just as bad as you. It just that to me doesn't make any sense. You should be. If you're the principal of an F1 racing team with that kind of money, spending that kind of money on advertisement and everything else and fighting to stay relevant, your goal should be to beat Mercedes. What strides are you making to beat Red Bull? That's the only conversation you should be having. We're making strides against Haas. The hell is that? Haas can't even finish a race. How you even, come on. You got a driver that's so good, they're taking the garbage car that you give him, and he's getting into Q2 and then finally got into Q1. That's a testament to his driving ability, really. But, to have that kind of attitude is concerning, and it's kind of frustrating as a Williams fan, to be honest.
Well, right on top of them is Aston Martin, and they have 48 points. So I agree with you. They should be striving to, pass Aston Martin in that 7th spot instead of worrying about, people behind them.
Oh, absolutely. It should be, we're taking these strides to pass, AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, so we can be on par. But we are out. The whole conversation should be: this is what we're doing to beat Mercedes. This is what we're doing to win the championship.
Exactly.
This isn't PT. This isn't F2, F3, Formula 4, electric cars. This is the pinnacle of the sport. It's like having an NFL team and saying, "Oh, we just want to have a winning record." No, you want the Super Bowl. That's what you want.
Exactly.
This isn't Pop Warner where everybody goes home with a candy bar. You go out there and you get paid to win and produce, and to compare themselves against two teams that are worse than you. Talking about we're making strides against them. Yeah.
Well,
you got me on my soapbox now.
No, that's good. That's what we that's what we need. But I think you hit it pretty perfectly there. I mean, you should be striving for a winning team always. You think Red Bull or Mercedes is worried about like Ferrari, McLaren, anybody behind them? No.
Only in the sense is that they don't want them to catch up to them. But right now, Red Bull is focused on Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes is focused on Red Bull. Everybody else is kind of chatter in the wind, really. They're just extra noise to get by.
But Mike, your take on that? We'll be driving for Williams in 2022.
In my heart, I'd like to see George Russell stay with Williams and get him a championship and a constructors championship and everything else. I really like George. He's a good kid, great attitude, very passionate about the sport, but he would be stupid not to go to Mercedes if they give him a seat. That would be a smart career move. Not only would you be behind Hamilton, who's if Hamilton wins this year, I think he's retired. He's done. But if he doesn't win for some reason, Verstappen squeaks it out and he's around for one more year, you get to be a teammate to Hamilton. And as young as George is, he can really learn a lot and then be a good teammate. And then when it's his turn to be in the number one seat, he has that example. He set that example for whoever jumps in the seat with him. As far as drivers for Williams, I'd like to see the Chinese driver, jump in that seat because I like to see that kind of parity around F1. I'd like to see an American at some point get a seat, or a Malaysian. There's a lot of good Malaysian drivers in F3 and F2 that are working way up. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see I'd like to see people get opportunities no matter where they come from. So he'd be interesting.
We talked about
until they get off the dime and build a better car, though. Whoever goes to Williams is going to be fighting for them to get to the bottom of the midfield, and so they have whoever's making when someone's making a decision to jump in a seat, put himself at risk every couple of weeks. They have to, in the back of their mind, they have to have an exit plan, or they have to have some sort of reassurance from Williams that they're going to do better.
It could very well be Bottas in that seat in 2022.
And he's been with Williams before, and he's been successful with Williams before. So I think that would not be a bad fit.
Well, we talked about this last week, and pairing either a rookie or someone's been in F1 for a couple of years with more of a seasoned veteran. You don't have that at Haas. You don't have that technically at Williams. That's why one of the reasons why we talked about Mick Schumacher last week. He's almost kind of befriending Vettel, trying to learn from him and his expertise, because Vettel was Mick's dad, Michael Schumacher. That was his hero back in Formula One. So he has something to look up to. So he's kind of repaying that as well. But looking at this, I even hate saying this because I said this before also, that the legacy of Williams, they should not be underneath Mercedes. They should not be a subsidiary of Mercedes. They should be like McLaren, up there racing with the big boys because of their legacy. Been around for a while. I understand why, because money. It's that sort of situation. So in the time being, two rookies there learning the system to get up to Mercedes kind of does make sense in a way. But
yeah, and I think one of the things they need to do is get away from Mercedes. Period. Obviously, Mercedes isn't giving them a power plant that's equal to the one that they're putting in their own cars. So, and why would they? I think they need to go back to either Audi or BMW. And they had their most success, I think it was with BMW. And they might have had a successful year with the Ford Cogsworth engines before they went to V8. I'd have to go back and look. But they had all their success came from being, I mean, you remember the old Williams cars with the Hewlett-Packard white and blue? Those were BMWs, and they dominated for couple of years, and then they went to the more of the paint scheme that they have now, which I love, by the way, because I like that old school look. And when they were winning with Senna and with Nigel Mansell and all those guys, it was all BMW and Renault actually. So they need to get out from underneath Mercedes, and then they just need to design a good car.
Well, they have a huge business behind them. I mean, who purchased them? Dalton Capital. I mean, they're a huge company that are investing in Williams. So we should see some sort of investment coming up soon, hopefully in the next couple of years. And as you pointed out, I wish they went to another power unit. We may see that in 2025.
Well, I would love to see. And BMW has been courting them. BMW is another one of these companies that's going to go all electric by 2025 or some BS. So we're running out of. They might end up going back to Ford and Chevrolet. And I would love to see Ford get back into F1 because there was a time where every single car out there was in a Ford Cogsworth engine. That was before Mercedes came back. So, Ford already has a legacy in Formula One. Chevrolet right now is in Indy with Honda. But Honda's getting out of Indy, so it's just going to be Chevy. So I'm hoping Ford gets back in it as these companies go all electric. And Volkswagen was another one that was talking about feelers out there.
Yeah,
but they need to get away from Mercedes. Mercedes is Mercedes, and they're not going to do anything to give anybody an advantage against Mercedes. So,
and we talked about this earlier in the year, and hopefully we could talk about this a little bit more, probably sometime during the fall. And that's one of the rumors is Mercedes might be leaving altogether Formula One, and Ineos, who's the biggest sponsor other than Petronas, is considering buying Mercedes. So that might be something there.
I don't see Mercedes leaving it altogether, to be honest, because this is their biggest marketing tool that they have, is that they dominate in F1 and in Le Mans. So I do hope they go back to silver cars. I get why they went to the black cars. I understand that, but I would like to see more silver. Silver, as a historian, I'd like to see more silver integrated back into their cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see, but I'd like to also like to see other builders catch up, give them a run. I mean, it was fun to watch the Patriots when they were new, but 20 years later, it's like, God, somebody beat these guys. The Yankees are great, but God dang, everybody wants the Yankees to be beat, and that's right where Mercedes is right now. Everybody's gunning for them, so I hope they do stick around. They're it's a heritage and a lineage that needs to stay in Formula One.
Yeah, it is, but I also want to see, like you said, other manufacturers in there, and maybe what it takes to probably get up to 11, 12, 13 teams again for that to happen. And I said before, 2025 apparently is the time frame that Volkswagen Group, namely either Porsche or Audi, will get into Formula One whenever the new other power unit will be coming out, more sustainable fuel. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully they do, because I'm a big fan of Audi, so hopefully that will happen. I
Yeah.
want to see him in Formula One so bad, so maybe Williams could go with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be interesting. Design a car that doesn't look like a freight train. Just saying.
Hopefully not. Apparently, the new cars are going to be smaller
that,
anyway.
Do you notice that though? When they come around a corner and they got all the cars, and you see like a Formula One car, Williams. It's like, holy crap! It's like driving mom's station wagon. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. Oh, not to mention that some of the higher ups with Williams that came over during the buyout there, many of them were part of the Volkswagen race group in other forms. So they have a tie.
Yeah.
They have a tie there. So that's something to look at. But let's move on to here. Well, any other Grand Prix will be canceled over the season? That was our Twitter question. And I listed Brazil, Mexico, United States, and, of course, other. But with 37%, you guys said Brazil. What came in second was actually the United States at 28.6%, and other with 20%, and Mexico at 14%. So the least likely Grand Prix next to be canceled will probably be Mexico. But here's a couple of your replies here. It's convenient that all three you listed would be canceled. That's true. Jack Gray says Texas will allow the race no matter the COVID cases. It's whether the FIA wants to race there or not. And a reply to that, same with Brazil. Tofu, I kind of like his because he actually has some little schematics there. So please go on our Twitter page and find this out. But US GP will most likely fail along with Brazil Grand Prix. Mexico is much better off right now. So it might go ahead, and he listed all three countries when it comes to COVID cases. And other than that, we have the last one. It says supposedly the peak for this Delta variant will be ending soon at the end of the month in the southern United States. So I wish, and then this is what she replied, Sarah, about the Grand Prix. I wish it will stay, but I'm not sure it will. So with all that, Mike, your take on all this?
Well, the city of Austin is trying hard to get it canceled. The problem is the Circuit of Americas isn't within the city limits of the city of Austin. So,
well, to be fair, and for those that are outside the United States, it's kind of hard to explain this, but we have in the United States called counties, which is like broad sections of a state that incorporates cities that governs outside the city limits. And normally, and for us, it's Travis County. Mm-hmm. So Travis County and the city of Austin normally go hand in hand when it comes, especially lately with the COVID cases and COVID lockdown and masks and stuff like that too. So with that, and I know COTA itself wants to stay open, and they're having concerts over there right now. They have a couple last this past weekend. Yeah. So, and it was pretty packed from what I understand. So they're going to try very hard to keep this. Texas will try to keep it open as much as possible, but they can only say so much. And on that note, as well as Austin. Austin can only say so much as well. And
yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't cancel it. I think it's ridiculous if they do, but
right. Now, with that though, even though Circuit Americas is outside the city limits of Austin, Austin also has, all the hotels, restaurants, attractions for these people that come in out of city, out of state, maybe even out of the country, if some countries allow that, to come here. So if it does lock down,
hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't. It looks like it's going down. So it looks like it's going down though.
It doesn't. I'll be disappointed if it is.
Yeah, and just knock on wood. I mean, because we were talking there for a minute about even having 2 races, even 3 here. Mm-hmm. So that is still up in the air. Anything could happen. Who knows? But it's just all depending on how, the next couple of months go. I mean, right now we're looking less than 2 months until the United States Grand Prix. It's already here.
Opening weekend for football is this weekend.
I just want to get out of this heat.
Yeah.
We got a great Twitter question coming up here. That's coming up week. It's the team that will make the biggest impact in the second half of the season. So I'll put Ferrari on there, McLaren, and for you, Mike, I'll even put Williams.
No.
Don't? Okay. Williams is off. What I'm going to put on there is Alpine.
I think Williams has peaked, to be honest.
Mm.
I hate to say it. I'm a Williams guy. I always root for him. I hope things turn out. But it took a 6-7 car crash for him to get into the points, taking out most of the cars that would have been between them and the points. So, and just from our discussion earlier, I mean, if you're worried about the two teams that are worse than you, then you're worried about the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And it's sad to say, honestly. It's sad to hear. Sad, even sad that you make mention of that. But I mean, to be honest, it could be worse. It could be Haas.
Yeah, it's true. Haas should go back to the Gary Player style cars with the black and the gold.
God, those are some good-looking cars then.
Yeah, those are awesome-looking cars. What are you talking about?
Those were great, man. I love that look, the black and gold.
The black with the gold pinstripes.
I'm going to give you a little tidbit here, a little, insight of our next what if series we're going to do, and it's what if the current grid expanded 13 teams, and how it would look like, the pros and cons of it, especially with the new salary cap, spending cap going on, the new engine, the new power unit, the way the new look and stuff like that. We'll break that down. But one thing we want to talk about too is, myself, Mike, and Chaz will, if we were owners / team principals, who would be two drivers, and what would be our power unit? I would have gone with. I was still going to go with this. So this is a spoiler, by the way. Spoiler. I want to bring back not only a second Renault team, but the main sponsor, the main title will be Lotus, and I'll bring back that black and gold Lotus. That's what I love. That's one team I would. That and Jordan.
Yeah, Mario Andretti is clapping his hands right now for you.
Well, one can only hope. We can all dream. But anyway, let me get through this before I could look up at. I just saw that the points leader there. So if you have any, there you go. Love it. Show it off because it's not going to last. But anyway,
even
thank
if
you
we tie this weekend, which we will, because I pick right, I'm still ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's remind people of our points right quick before we leave. Mike, you're at 294. Chaz is at 258, and I'm right behind him at 247. So there is some chance either Chaz will make it up, or I could probably surpass him and I don't know, come close or some sort. So.
Al Bachter getting laughed with Maspen. God, I always waste the good ones when Chaz ain't here.
He could always watch the show. That's okay. We watch the show. Be fine. And on that note, thank you for joining us. Please check out our Facebook, Twitter page, the @FormerRacing. Please make sure you follow that, as well as check out our new Twitter question of the week. Vote on it and leave your comment too. You might see your comment right here on the show. Also, email us if you have any topic whatsoever, theformerracing@gmail.com. We're trying to expand this channel to include all sorts of stuff, and we'd love to have your comments, questions, anything whatsoever. Also, while you're here on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, and help us grow this channel. So with that, Mike, I'm so glad you didn't take your shirt off this week. We did not get demonetized for that. So that's a running joke from now on. I'm sorry. I know this is like 3 weeks old or 2 weeks old, something like that. I'm still
when I stand upon the podium as a host champion, I will be taking my shirt off and spraying myself with much shame.
So Chaz, if you watch this, we need to get together and try to beat him. come up with some sort of picks, some extra picks. I don't know if there's some week that Michael might miss that we could make his picks for him and just like screw it up or something like that. Massive M will come on first in the podium or something.
Right.
But with that, I guess we'll see you next week. And it's race week.